Hi computer scientists, Mr. Stafford here, and I wanted to go through Unit 6, Lesson 4, working with ArrayList data. The first level that we come to asks us to predict the output. So read through the program and then make your prediction on the left-hand side. We see that we start with an array list. Its name is names and it's filled with string objects. We first add Kyler and then we add Chanel. And then we make a string called first name and it's names.getZero. So we're introduced to this get method. And then we have string last name equals names.get, names.sizes. Sizes we know tells us the array list size, and then -1. So again, we index from 0. And the size currently on line 12, the size currently of the array list names is 2, but Chanel is at index 1. So if we do names.size, which is 2, 2 minus 1 is also 1. So then we're going to print out first name in the list is first name, and last name in the list is last name. Line 17 we come across is names.add 0 and then Camden, and then add 1 Madeline. So we were again introduced to the add method in the previous lesson. And so add is going to add at a specific index and then the object. So we're adding at index 0 Camden and index 1 Madeline. And so we are resetting the string first name. It says first name equals names.get index 0 and last name equals names.get names.size -1. So we are continually adding things to the array list, and so names.size -1 is still going to be the very last element in the array list. So when we run this, we see that the first time we do first name and last name, it was Kyler and Chanel. And then the second time we get the first name and the last name, Camden, which was added at index 0, is the first name, and Chanel is still the last name, because we added Camden and Madeline in front of Kyler and Chanel. On lesson number 2, level number 2, it says, use a loop, print the contents of the given array list using the get method, so each word is displayed on its own line. So I'm going to do a for each loop. These are strings. I'm going to say string S for random. Oh, if I want to use the get method, I can't. So I'm going to do an int I equals 0. I is going to be less than random words dot size and I plus plus. And we want to print the contents, so I'm going to do a system.out.println. Print the contents of the given array list using the get method. So random words dot get and then index I. Okay. So when we run this, what should be printed is art doesn't to have be intentional. And what we're seeing is that we are adding elements to this array list, and we are adding them at specific indexes later on. Okay? The next level is another prediction. And we have an array list of integers. Its name is numbers. And we are adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 zeros. Okay? So this, when we print, the numbers before should have 10 zeros. And then we are to figure out if we set, okay, set is a new method to us now. We have to predict what this set method does for us. Okay, so make your prediction, and then come back and run it. And when we do run it, what we're going to see is at index 0 has changed to 1. And so on line 21, that's because the set method says at index 0, I want that to be set to 1. And at index 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3, that's also set to 1, and index 7 is also set to 1. You'll notice that there are still 10 elements in this array list. So unlike add, where we are increasing the number of elements in the array list, setting just changes those numbers in the array list. Okay, we are going to continue on. And it says, the program is intended to shift the elements in the given array to the left by 1, but it has an error. Identify and correct the error so it produces the intended result. So we're going to run this. The array list is filled with what goes up must come down, 0, down to earth, right off the bat. 2 says on the same page, and 1 at fish out of water. So we displayed the original array list, and the original array list says down to earth, fish out of water, what goes up must come down, on the same page and right off the bat. And the program is intended to shift the elements in the array list to the left by 1. So what it should print out after this algorithm of shift the list to the left by 1, what it should print out is the first thing should be fish out of water, what goes up must come down, on the same page, and then right off the bat. But this, we are getting an error, so let's slow down, see what error we're actually getting. And it says index out of bounds exception. Okay, so we have to track down our index out of bounds exception, and then it's giving us line 21, my console line 21. So phrase.set index, and then phrase.get index plus 1. So what I'm seeing is, I'm looping through the entire array list all the way to size, but if I get to the size and I go plus 1, that's going to put me out of bounds because, again, we index from 0, and then I'm going to get to the last index and then do plus 1, which is going to get me 1 past the last index. So if I do size minus 1, let's see what happens there. So we get fish out of water, which was the second line. It is now first. What goes up must come down, on the same page, and then we're seeing right off the bat. Now, what I'm losing is down to earth, okay? I'm losing down to earth. So what I can do is hold on to down to earth above my loop. So what I can do is do string first equals phrases at index 0. Oh, not index. This is an array list, so I got to use the dot get method at index 0. Okay, and then what I'd like to do is set that last index. So I'm going to say phrases dot set phrases dot size minus 1 to what was first. So I'm holding on to that first line, which was down to earth, and we see that it's not printed out in this last one. I'm hanging on to it in first, and then I'm setting size minus 1, so our last index, to that first sentence. Okay, so let's run this and see if that works. And it says fish out of water, what goes up must come down, on the same page right off the bat, and then we set that last index to down to earth. Okay, we can hit finish. And then it says a word list editor object has 2 arrays, a word list and a replacements list, which contains words read in from file objects. Okay, so we've got this class word list editor, and it says in word list editor, so we're going to flow to that, write the method replace words. So I'm going to flow down to replace words, and it says The replace words method in the word list editor class is intended to find words in word list that are less than the parameter min length. So I have this min length, and I want to see what word list is. Word list is an instance variable, okay? It's an instance variable which is getting initialized in the constructor. Okay. And replace them with randomly chosen words from the replacements list. Okay, so replacement words. Let me read this again. Write the method to check each word in the list and replace any that are less than min length. Okay, so I need to loop through this list. So I'm going to go for in I equals 0. I is going to be less than, and I believe it's called word list dot size I++. Okay, and I need to check and see if word list dot get index I and see if its length, because it's a string, is less than min length. Okay, let me read this again. Write the method replace words. The replace words method in the word list editor class is intended to find words in word lists that are less than the parameter min length and replace them with a randomly chosen word. Okay. So then what I need to do is set that index at word list. So word list dot set I with a randomly chosen word. Okay, so we have these replacements. Okay, randomly chosen word from the replacements list. Okay, so I'm going to choose a random word from the replacements list. And so what I'm going to do is cast it as an int and do math. I'm going to get, I need to get it from the replacements. So let's do replacements dot get, and then I want a random index. I want a random index from that replacements. So math.random from 0 and then we can multiply this by replacements dot, is replacements an array list? It is, dot size. And I think that I need another parenthesis. All right, and when we run this, it says in myconsole.java, test the replacement words method with different arguments. Okay, so what we need to do, we have writer, develop, convert, read an opinion, stop an opinion, decade, contact, series, act, opinion. So it looks like I'm just getting opinion. So I want words.replace words instead of 6. Let's try 7. So I know that I'm still getting opinion and not any of the other words from replacement. I'm just getting the first index, and I'm never getting contribution or context or statement. So I'm going to go back to word list. And where I'm getting this random index, I see that I'm casting it as an int. However, I need to wrap it in another set of parentheses, and we'll rerun this. and see if I get something other than opinion, and I see now I'm getting contribution and tradition, and those are all items in the list of replacements. And that's it for Unit 6, Lesson 4.